It was a dark and stormy night. The house creaked with every gust of wind, and the raindrops drummed relentlessly on the roof. Emily, an 18-year-old college freshman still living with her parents, had just stepped out of the shower, droplets of water still clinging to her skin. As Emily started to reach for her towel, she froze, a sudden unease settling in her stomach. She stood silently and listened intently. And she heard it, just as she thought she had. A faint noise coming from outside. It was subtle, like the leaves in the wind, but something felt off. Ignoring her need for the towel, Emily slowly moved closer to the window. The unease intensified as she realized that the sound she was hearing sounded like footsteps, and a slight chill went down her spine. Against her better judgment, she walked all the way to the window and looked out of it at the backyard. The view was slightly obscured by the relentless downpour, but she couldn't see anybody out there, and the sound she had been hearing had stopped. Then suddenly, her view was obstructed as a shadowy figure moved swiftly into view right outside the window, momentarily silhouetted ominously against a flash of lightning. Fear gripped her as she realized this person, who was mere inches away from the other side of the window, was staring right at her, his eyes reflecting the dim light from within the bathroom. Emily opened her mouth to scream, but no sound came out, and she just stood there in shock, paralyzed by fear. Bang! Emily jumped, finally letting out a scream, and stumbled back, shock turning into terror as the person started banging loudly and intently on the window, sending shockwaves through Emily's fragile composure. Without bothering to put on any clothes or even a towel, Emily bolted out of the bathroom, leaving a trail of wet footprints as her bare feet slapped against the cold floor. She raced through the hallway, her heart pounding, as she sprinted towards her parents' bedroom. "Mom! Dad!" she screamed, her voice quivering with fear. Her parents, jolted awake, scrambled to understand the urgency in their daughter's eyes. Emily, breathless and trembling, stammered, "There's someone outside the bathroom window! A man! He was banging on the window!" Her parents exchanged alarmed glances, and together, the three of them ventured back to the bathroom, the air heavy with trepidation. But as they approached the window, there was nothing, no shadowy figure, no banging on the glass. Only the relentless rain, washing away any trace of the mysterious visitor. As Emily lay in bed later that night, she tried to convince herself it was a one-time occurrence, a bizarre event lost in the stormy night. Yet, the unease lingered. The following evening, as Emily sat in the living room, a news report on TV caught her attention. The headline sent chills down her spine. A notorious serial killer, known for lurking in the shadows, had escaped custody. The report showed his face, and Emily's blood ran cold. It was him. The person outside her window. The realization struck her with a horrifying clarity, and left her breathless. The danger had been real, and her instincts had saved her. Emily now understood the gravity of that dark and rainy night, forever grateful for the intuition that had guided her to safety.